Let me tell you the story about how I transformed into a cat and used my newfound form to deliver justice all across the server. It all started off with me spawning in on the beach. You see, for whatever reason, the Ark developers had decided that it would be a good idea to add the ability to transform into a cat. Out of everything that this game needs right now, I think the ability to become a cat is pretty far down that list. But hey, if Rome's burning, you might as well warm yourself up by the flames, which is exactly what I planned to do. So the goal was pretty simple: unlock the ability to transform into a cat and see exactly what kind of hijinks I could get up to. First step of this was completing a note run. Having collected these notes, my character was now a decent level. Next up was setting down a base spot. A nice little hidden spot in the redwoods. Time to throw down a base. With my hidden little shit shack completed, I went out and tamed a Thylo. It's only fitting that if I'm going to transform into a cat, I should also ride a fucking giant one around. And I don't care what people say, a Thyla is a cat. I'm sorry to all the taxonomy enjoyers out there, but this thing is absolutely a cat. With a tame and a base, I was all set to go. Now the cat ability can be found in the skill tree, meaning to unlock it, I've got to complete a whole bunch of quests. And by quests, most of the time, I just mean menial farming. Gather 1,000 stone here, craft 50 structures there. It was going to be a lot more boring farming than I was used to doing, but to unlock cat mode, anything would be worth it. I got straight to completing my quests. So I spent a while just doing these honestly menial tasks. They were kind of a pain in the ass, but not exactly the end of the world. But that was until I got to the final set of quests. Kidding me? What the fuck is that? Now, first one wasn't too bad, just kill 10 specific dinos, which wasn't exactly too hard to do. The next one after that was a decent bit more difficult. I had to go out and loot 10 green drops. There's only about 2 green drops on the map at any given moment, so this one was definitely a lot more difficult, but all the same, I got it done. And then for my final quest, I had to gather 100,000 resources. At least with the other ones, I was moving around, grabbing drops, fighting creatures. But for this one, literally the only strategy that would actually work was just to grab a good sickle, go into the deepest bit of forest that I could find, and just mindlessly gather fiber. And then when my inventory fills up, just go ahead and drop all of that, because there is no possible use in the world for 100,000 fiber. So there I was for 30 minutes just mindlessly holding down left mouse button and dropping loot out of my inventory. A big pain in the ass. But for cat mode, anything would have been worth it. And finally, with enough skill points, I had unlocked my true form. I could now transform into a cat. Oh, fucking finally. Words do not even begin to describe how excited I was for this. The brass tacks of how cat mode actually works is basically this. Obviously, you have the ability to transform yourself into a cat, and if you take any damage in cat mode, you are transformed back into a human, and for the next 2 minutes, you can't go back into cat mode. But here's the real kicker. When you transform into a cat, instead of what Ark normally does, which is say that you're a player, what level you are, and what tribe you belong to, it will instead simply say that you are a wild level 1 cat. Now this is particularly potent for 2 reasons. The first is that this cat mode ability has only very recently come out, and 99% of the people who play this game don't read the patch notes, so they have no idea they added this. And then the second is, in the over 10 years that this game has been out, there is no possible way to display yourself as anything except a human. So basically nobody even considers the idea that a wild creature is actually a person, because why the fuck would you even think that? So when they look at me and it says I'm a level 1 wild cat, then they have no reason to question that whatsoever. And with that information, I hope you understand exactly why I was so excited about cat mode. It's hard to put into words how amusing I found a small cat morphing into a big fucking fat guy. After unlocking cat mode, I went to check my smithy and found something very interesting inside. Would you look at that? That's right, guys. Raid Shadow Legends is celebrating its 7-year anniversary, and they are giving an insane gift to new players worth over $200. And on top of that, Ultimate Death Knight is making his long-awaited return. Able to shield and heal your entire team, he is an absolute MVP. Useful in both PvE and PvP. And personally, I gotta say, his design's pretty damn cool. And he's also super fun to play. And I think he's the perfect addition to the intense gameplay of Raid Shadow Legends. In fact, after downloading the game via the link in the description or scanning my QR code, new players will get the $200 anniversary package for free only with my link. Instantly unlock the legendary champion Krokmar the Devourer, plus all of these bonuses as you level up. Notably, you get Galapo the Recluse at level 25. And on top of that, new players can get Pelops the Victor using code RAID7. Or both new and existing players can unlock him through the Classic Fusion event from the 5th to the 21st of March. But even better, if you don't want Pelops, new players can choose one of the 6 promo codes shown on screen. So there's plenty of options to go around. If you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description or scan my QR code to get amazing bonuses available only via my link. And you can find me in game under the name Trafalgar_dash or join my clan, Trafalgar 12. So thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to catting around. Owing to my new feline form, I decided to cat up my base. No real advantage to this, but certainly is a lot more fitting. And then pretty much right after unlocking this ability, I realized that you can just glitch into people's bases with it. Because when you go from cat to human or vice versa, you appear in your new form slightly above your old form. So as you could see, you could just glitch through a dude's base, look through any of his loot, and then just glitch back out. I didn't take anything from this dude because that would have been dirty as fuck. And I'm only showing this now because they did end up patching it later. But I still have no idea how this made it to public servers. How about we try to keep things that let you glitch into other people's bases to a bare minimum? Shortly after that, I called my buddy Jimmy just because I wanted to show the ridiculousness of cat mode to somebody else. And as I was starting up my screen share, a guy with a spear attacked me. Oh shit. Yo, Jim. I think I had just the trick to escape this guy. The ghillie dude clearly had no idea about cat tech, so I'm not even gonna lie, I just started doing dumb shit to this guy.
What? What is this?
He doesn't even know what's coming right now. Oh shit, he's getting strong.
Cat powers activate, bro.
He doesn't know. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know.
Oh my gosh, man. You got him up on the rock. He thinks he was seeing shit, man. That's crazy.
Giving him schizophrenic episodes. Okay, I'm gonna come clean. The dude obviously had no idea about cat tech, but I was being way too brazen with it, and before long, he found out. And so, there can be no witnesses. Oh, that's my chance.
It's a stamina back, bro.
If he's got a bow out, now's my chance. Get fucked, get fucked,
nice.
Get fucked. With him knocked out, I left him to slowly be devoured by dillos on the beach. This man had thought that he had just been attacking some random naked dude on the beach, but really, he had secretly attacked the trickster god Catbert. It's like one of those ancient Greek myths about like letting in a stranger to your house who's secretly like Hermes or Zeus or whatever, but instead of a god that can cast lightning bolts or run crazy fast, I'm just a fat guy that can transform into a cat. And after this, I left the call with Jimmy and continued to explore the server, half man, half cat. And there were a couple little tricks I picked up with cat mode along the way. The first is that you can just use it to prevent fall damage, because when you pop cat mode, you lose all momentum, so that can save you a parachute. And then the second is that when you pop cat mode, you get all your stamina back, and because you can pop it every 10 seconds, you basically have just infinite stamina. And as I was wandering around the map, near the northeast, I came under attack from some brigand. Soon after killing the guy, I heard a whistle and then saw a pterodon start flying down the cliff. So I wanted to get to the bottom of that cliff and see what was going on down there. My little cat trick had just bit me in the ass. My desire to save myself the use of a single parachute had just ended with my tubby ass splattered all over the floor. And what I didn't realize is that this had happened literally at the front door of the guy who had just tried to jump me. And so when I returned to loot my body, there he was wearing my armor. Yeah, I fucked up pretty bad. I had one final chance to clutch up my dumbass mistake. As the guy was sorting through and fucking cataloging my loot, I ran a little bit away and quickly crafted myself a torch. Although in almost every other regard a subpar weapon, the torch has one advantage: it ignores armor. And so this would be my only hope. To begin the attack, I used cat mode to get the drop on him. Having now retrieved my gear, I didn't necessarily want to kill this guy's buddy too, but the guy simply wouldn't let go of me, and then his pterodon started tweaking out too, so he had to go. So, after almost losing my entire gear set in the dumbest way imaginable, did I learn anything? No, not really. I still kept using cat mode to prevent fall damage, even though it's clearly not super reliable. After this near miss with completely humiliating myself, I traveled a fair bit further north where I found a raft sailing the high seas. This was certainly an opportunity for mischief, so I just sort of began following them. Since I was disguised as a cat, they had fucking no idea whatsoever. Seemingly, they had reached their destination, so they parked the raft and got out, at which point I took the opportunity to go right up on the ramp leading into their base and simply wait patiently for them to come on by. Seemingly, as some sort of defense, the raft had halfway sucked me up into it when I was trying to club the guy out. At any rate, I was now left alone in the raft, and checking their smithy, I found pretty much nothing. And so, leaving all their stuff, I got right up against the door and prepared to fight my way out. Yeah, those guys didn't exactly have much of a fighting chance. Now, because I had run into their base only to see if I could, I didn't take any loot from these guys. And actually, since they had left their door literally open to their base, I stood around and made sure nobody ran in while I waited for them to come back and be able to close it. And for their trouble, I gave these guys a stack of hide. So, all is well that ends well. A little bit after this, I found a guy taming a pterodon. And so I just started pretending to be a wild cat, and I guess I did a pretty convincing job because he soon shot an arrow into me. Could you imagine this poor little guy's reaction when he shoots an arrow into a cat just wandering on the beach and out pops a big fucking fat guy fully enclosed in metal? God, I fucking love cat mode. Next in my globe-trotting adventures, I found a group of people fighting at South 1, and so I got ready to jump in. What the actual fuck? Are you serious? Some random dude on an aloe was fucking the shit out of me. There was only one possible way I could escape. Trying to get on top of the rock, I cut my grapple and attempted to shoot another one, but a pretty common bug occurs where you simply can't fire another one, and I totally didn't get super mad when this happened. Shoot! Are you fucking kidding me? That is now the second time that I have splattered myself against the floor in a very embarrassing way. But it was also the second time that I managed to recover my loot. It's a very, very good thing that Aloe dude lost interest in me instantly, or else he'd be rolling around in my gear right now. You know, the craziest thing about that whole little fight is that about 5 seconds before the Aloe guy started biting me, I turned around and there he was. But because his Aloe had like the perfect camouflage, I literally didn't see him charging straight at me. That might unironically be the first time a dino's colors have mattered in a fight at all. Speaking of the Aloe guy, just slightly to the east, I once again found him. Now, I wanted to get a little bit of revenge for him absolutely humiliating me on the beach like that, and so like this shit was a spy movie, I began tailing him. Every once in a while, the guy would turn around, and I'd have to stand perfectly still. Following him all the way home, we arrived at his hidden jungle base. Oh, you're kidding me. You are kidding me. Which was a very unimpressive stone 2x2 shack with a bunch of holes in the side of it. As he was outside farming up a bit of stone, I just kind of wandered next to him, again, just to see if I could. And then when he left the door open to his base, I tried to go in as well, but for some reason I literally just couldn't fit through. So instead, I went for the way less conspicuous option of jumping in through one of the holes on the side of his base. Once inside, I just sort of started hanging out, and this guy either somehow didn't notice me or didn't care. So at one point when he placed a furnace down and started smelting shit on it, I turned it off. But all the same, he still seemed not to notice anything at all was amiss, even though there was a fat man disguised as a cat inside his home. Observing him using photo mode, I saw he left the base, so now it was time to see if he had anything worth taking. Oh! Like finding a diamond in a big pile of shit, this dude had an ascendant trike saddle. This was actually huge because trikes are one of the main dinos used for raiding built-up bases, and saddles greatly reduce damage taken. A primitive saddle that you can freely craft would mean a bullet from a simple pistol does 35 damage to the trike, whereas this ascendant trike saddle would mean you probably only take like 15, maybe even 10. So basically this means any trike you put the saddle on has more or less triple HP. Needless to say, I of course took this saddle and then silently slipped on out. And seeing as the Aloe guy had no idea that I'd even been in his base in the first place, and he had left with the door closed, he was probably pretty fucking confused when this saddle went missing. I had been a cat burglar both in the literal and metaphorical sense. Just a little bit north of here, I found what was probably the most set up tribe on the entire server. This was a tribe known as Frog Team 6. I would complain about their name being kind of ass, but I guess it does beat having your name just be a 3-letter acronym, which tribes like this always seem to do for some reason. I spent a bit of time looking at their base because it was very interesting that they decided to set up where they did, because literally right next to them is an area known as Swamp Plat, probably one of the best non-underground base locations on this map, and they instead decided to build just under it in the dirty, fetid, nasty-ass swamp. These guys fucking live in Blight Town. As I was inspecting their base, their parasaur had detected me, so before long, an RG guy came out to look for me. And I started just kind of messing around with the guy. I was playing this shit like prop hunt, where I just made a noise so he would have a better chance of finding me. After failing to find me, the RG dude went back to his base. Must have been the wind. And that's when I noticed one of them riding a parasaur leaving the base. This was getting a little interesting, so I started following the guy through the swamp. Sometimes human, sometimes cat. He noticed me and even asked why I was following him. These guys were clearly getting very antsy about this, which only made me want to follow them even more. But they didn't exactly take too kindly to that. Oh shit. Oh shit. He doesn't even know the tech. Having made my escape, I continued trailing the very easy to follow Harassing. These guys were cutting deep into the redwoods. What the fuck exactly were these guys up to? Oh, turret. Are they raiding a base here? Oh yeah, okay. Turns out that Frog Team 6 here had come all this way with their Harassing to offline raid a much smaller tribe than them. And I know for a fact they went out of their way to offline this tribe because they hadn't even bothered to set up a forward operating base. They clearly were expecting no resistance whatsoever. This was lame as hell. I wasn't just gonna stand by and let this happen though. I respawned at my base, geared back up, and made my way back over. Oh, yeah, there he goes. The Harassing was now dead, but the now dismounted rider had a flamethrower. This weapon was incredibly powerful. If I wasn't careful, he'd easily kill me with it. But before long, his buddy came at me with a pterodon. Come here. Even though I managed to bowl them a couple times and do decent damage to the pterodon, with it being a 2v1, I simply couldn't land the killing blow. Oh my god, flamethrower cock. Get. I would constantly have to dip in and out of the jungle. If I stayed in one place, I'd be killed instantly. In this running battle throughout the jungle, at one point I managed to get the drop on them and find their pterodon unattended. With this pterodon dead, both players were now stuck on foot, so I began moving in to finish them off. Flamethrower. Oh my god, random Thylo. No, dude! Having gotten glitched inside a wild Thylo, the player I was chasing was able to escape, and worst of all, my Thylo was now near death. I had no choice but to back off, place a sleeping bag, and leave my Thylo behind. I needed to finish this fight on foot. I had underestimated the quality of their gear. His sniper had killed me in only a few shots, but the fight wasn't completely lost just yet. I could respawn on that sleeping bag, grab a very basic gear set out of my Thylo, and go back to see what I could do. Looking around the scene of the raided base, I found that the flamethrower guy had stayed behind just to kill tames. With pretty much all of them already dead, he then began making his way out of there, so I began following him. I stood no chance against that flamethrower unless I was able to get the drop on him. What is he doing? The guy didn't have particularly much, but the flamethrower and ascended crossbow were a nice haul. And it was at this point that I realized exactly what had happened. Soon after killing me on that creek bed, one of them had picked up all the gear that he could carry, including some of his buddies, and immediately ran back home while I was still on respawn timer. Meanwhile, his buddy, with what limited gear he had left, stayed behind to kill all the dinos of the base they had raided. And as he was finishing this up, that's when I showed up for the second time. I then went to take a look inside the base and found that there was literally nothing left inside. Any loot they couldn't carry, they simply despawned. The name of the tribe that had been raided was Cocoa Bean, and what had happened here was pretty fucking lame. The most built up tribe on the entire server going out of their way to offline raid a much smaller and much weaker tribe, and then proceeding to go out of their way to kill all their tames and despawn all their loot too. Now I did manage to give these guys a little bit of a bloody nose by killing all the tames they'd taken on this raid and taking a bit of their gear off of them, but this whole situation just didn't sit right with me. So it was time to go over to their base and see how I could fuck with them. I spent a good bit of time just scouting out their base in cat mode, and really in cat mode you only get found by the RG if you're just being way too brazen with it, which admittedly I did do a couple times. But when I wasn't throwing, you're basically undetectable as a cat. And actually what I found was this cliff jump that you could only make if you were in cat mode that got me on the swamp platform above their base. Cat mode once again proving extraordinarily useful. And keep in mind, I had only unlocked cat mode to troll people. I didn't realize it was going to end up being so useful. From here, I had a decent understanding of their base. So I decided the best course of action would be to pick the plants above their base. Doesn't really matter if I die, so long as every time I get killed, I take one of their plants with me. With this area now unprotected by plants, I found a cozy little overlook into their base and fired on one of their tames. A decent level Thezu is now dead. Not bad. After that, I spent a decent bit away from their base, just kinda letting the heat die down, and when I returned, I used photo mode to peer into their base, just kinda watching them meander around. I could see that they were in there dyeing their armor green to try to give themselves better camouflage. You're not the aloe at South 1, little bro. And as I was watching them, one of them came out to get some more berries for their dye. With him dead, one of his buddies was coming out in an RG to help him. Using cat mode, I easily got away, and as he was searching for me somewhere off in the bushes, I looted the guy I killed. No more puke green dye for you, my friend. I was having some decent success jumping these guys, but these guys didn't really come out of their base super often, so there wasn't really all that much I could do. Ultimately, I was forced to basically just go back to my normal half-human, half-cat life, when in the redwoods, I found somebody trying to tame a thylo. Now they'd fucked up and gotten themselves killed, and the thylo was eating their pterodon, so I decided to help out. The pterodon owner respawned nearby, so I got to talking to them, and it was fucking Cocoa Bean, the owner of the base that Frog Team 6 had attacked. And speaking to her, I found out that this wasn't her first time getting offlined, because apparently Frog Team 6 had offlined her 3 times. She said her only goal in the server was to progress far enough to tame a Quetzal and saddle it, but every time she would get near that goal, she would find herself offline by Frog Team 6. We spoke a little bit more after that, and she offered me a very good crossbow for having saved her pterodon, but I politely refused. As we departed, my mind was set in stone. It was time to give Frog Team 6 a taste of their own medicine. It was their turn to get offline. However, for a base of their size, I would absolutely need a shit ton of C4. And unfortunately, the Cat Shack had recently been raided, so I set up a new production base further up north. Now this area was a little more hot than it usually is. I spotted a couple bases nearby, but I only plan to be here long enough to farm the C4. Speaking of which, the 3 main ingredients that I'll need for C4 are gunpowder, electronics, and polymer. First up, to get gunpowder, I just needed a shit ton of flint and stone. With that all slowly being refined to gunpowder, I next had to take my thylo all the way across the map to get some silica pearls for electronics. That'll be enough silica pearls for all the electronics I need. While up here, I might as well get some polymer. Easiest way of doing that? Literally clubbing penguins. Returning back to base, I now had more or less all the resources I need. It was just a matter of refining them down. This was gonna take a little bit, so I went to go take a piss. Perfect. Just as I was ready to craft the C4, a couple RG guys had pulled up, and then I heard a noise that you never want to hear. They were blowing in. With my thylo dead, the only thing I could do was grab all the fucking loot I could carry and try to make a run for it. Once they realized what I had done, I could hear them searching for me. Since I was carrying all this loot, I couldn't run away, so I had to fucking sit in place and hope and pray that they wouldn't find me. Once the coast seemed clear, I moved further back. They were going to be expanding their search. I needed to be as far away from that base as possible. But do you have any idea how terrifying it is to run at a snail's pace with all this fucking loot on me? Eventually, thinking I was far enough from the base, I stopped by a tree. A few minutes later, I could see them searching the area I was in.
Oh, you heard me cough. Oh no.
A very fucking close call. Dude, I'm telling you, I was being silent as a fucking mouse and not moving a muscle in real life. Luckily, after that, these guys fucked off, and I was able to escape with most of the loot from that base. Now homeless and tameless, I decided my only option was to go back to the cat shack, repair that, and finish off the last little bit of farming I needed. Since I still had most of my resources, this wasn't too bad, and within a couple hours, I was done. And you might be thinking, great, sure, you've got the C4, but how exactly are you gonna raid Frog Team 6? They are the most built up tribe on the entire server, and they have a shit ton of turrets. Well, you see, they had forgotten the actual #1 rule of building a base in Ark. Never ever build on the water. Because, for example here, purely hypothetically, someone might be able to place a raft in the swamp right next to them, fully enclose the driver's sections of the raft so they can't get shot by turrets, blow their outermost gates leading to their base, and then simply drive as deep as they want into their base while all the turrets look on helplessly. From here, I easily destroyed their outer turret tower simply by blowing up the generator. And now half their turrets were offline. So I moved further in with my raft, but I'm not even gonna lie, I got that raft stuck. So I made an entirely new one to go retrieve that one, and that got stuck too. So I made another raft to go free that one, and yeah, I mean, it got stuck too. And yeah, maybe a couple more got stuck after that as well. Instead of just trying to throw more shit at the wall and hope some of it stuck, I next just took some time at the top of their base to look down and try to figure out exactly what my next steps were. When I saw a guy flying overhead on a pterodon, I kept an eye on him, hoping he would just fly past, but looking down and seeing what was happening to Frog Team 6's base, they began landing. Great, these guys were here to fuck up my raid. If I wanted to give Frog Team 6 a taste of their own medicine, I'd have to first kill these scavengers. On the cliffs above the base, I saw them going forward with the same strat as me, and so, while they were building their raft, I moved in to take them out. As the pterodon grabbed me, I saw their tribe name. This was Cocoa Bean, the same people who had been offline by Frog Team 6. As soon as I realized this, I immediately stopped fighting them, and they soon did the same. I got to talking to them, and turns out they were here to do the exact same thing that I was. So we teamed up. They'd brought a decent bit more C4 to this raid, so there was really no chance I'd run out. I explained the issues I was having with this raid to them, and turns out sometimes all it takes is a new perspective, because they were able to see the best way forward. All I had to do was add a couple more ceilings to my frontmost raft, and then I could use the vaults they had placed as cover against their own turrets, allowing me to get right up against their base. So heading down the fucking hallway of rafts I had now constructed, I did exactly that. With their main generator now offline, all their turrets had lost power. I was free to ransack their base. The loot in here wasn't half bad. Their vaults were practically overflowing with silica pearls. Frog Team 6, who took such joy in offlining others, probably weren't too happy now that the shoe was on the other foot. The trickster god Catbert had dealt out justice. All was well in the world. Well, maybe not everything, because as I was finishing up packing the loot, some guy came by with a tech rifle, and my raft didn't exactly stand up to too much of that. But since most of the loot was already out, it's not exactly the end of the world, is it? At any rate, and of course, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me cat around. Frankly, cat mode is one of the few things they've ever added to this game that helps with grubbing, as opposed to being in a big-ass tribe. So I finally don't have to complain about an Ark update for once. Thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video, and make sure to use my promo code to get those rewards.